The goal of this video is to help you set up your helicopter and transmitter, and also to get you familiar with the rudder controls, as well as get you started on your orientation. Here's the start of the helicopter training. I'm going to start as if you know nothing about flying or helicopters, though I should move along quick enough so it's not too boring for someone with a little experience. I recommend watching each lesson all the way through first, then start to practice. I think the quickest, safest, and cheapest way to learn to fly helicopters is by starting with the coaxial helicopter like this one. But in reality, you can apply the lessons to any kind of helicopter. I also strongly recommend attaching a set of training gear like the one you see on this helicopter here. The cost of about $10 instantaneously is paid for after your first overcorrection. And what they do is, if you're flying around and accidentally you overcorrect, say sideways, as the helicopter comes down, the training gear is going to hit before the actual rotor blades do, and that's going to save you a lot of money. The training gear also allows the helicopter to slide around very easily when you're training. Last thing I do is put a bright piece of foam on the nose of the helicopter. This is going to help with your helicopter orientation as well as learning to use the rudder, because it's right on the nose of the helicopter and makes it very easy to see. Now you want to get your helicopter pad set up. Find a nice flat area like this garage here and mark off about an 8-foot by 8-foot box. The purpose of the box is to force you to stay in a confined area, which will help make you a precision flyer. Next thing we're going to do is check the balance of the helicopter. You want to do it side to side and front to back. Now the way you do this is by lifting up on the flybar here, and pretty much every helicopter has one of these. And you put your flybar 90 degrees perpendicular to front and back of your helicopter, and this is actually going to check for nose to tail balance. As you pick it up, your helicopter should remain pretty much level. If it has the tendency to nose forward or towards the tail, you're going to want to adjust this balance by sliding your battery forward or backward. Now any helicopter that's as simple as this coaxial should be pretty much perfectly balanced left to right, but when you add training gear or other things like this, it might offset the balance. So you want to check this too. Now what you do is put the flybar so that it's facing the nose and the tail, and you lift up evenly on the flybar, and again, your helicopter should not tilt to the left or right. If it does tilt to the left or the right, try and figure out what's causing the imbalance, and if you can't find anything, you could start to add a little bit of weight. But you don't want to try and add too much weight, as these helicopters really need to stay light, otherwise it's going to kill their battery. Let's take a look at your transmitter. Now I'm going to be teaching these lessons with a Mode 2 transmitter. Okay, now a Mode 2 transmitter is where you have the throttle and the rudder on your left stick here. So this is your throttle and this is your rudder. And on this other side is your cyclic controls. So as you move this around, it tilts the helicopter just like this. Now I think that this is a lot more logical than the Mode 1, which has your throttle on the right side and your rudder over here. Make sure that your transmitter is set up like a Mode 2, otherwise my directions are going to be hard to follow. Let's go over the flight controls of the transmitter and how they affect the helicopter. So here's my helicopter. I have the nose, the tail, and the left and the right side. Now I'm going to turn this so that the tail is actually pointed towards the camera. This is actually the orientation that you're going to want to start out in, because it's the most easiest to understand. So now take a look at my transmitter here. Again, this is the throttle. Moving the throttle up and down makes the helicopter go up and down. Moving the rudder left to right makes the nose of the helicopter move left and right. So that's why I want you to focus on the nose during the training instead of the tail, because it can get confusing if you focus on the tail. Watch as I move the rudder to the left, the tail actually moves to the right. So again, try and focus on the nose of the helicopter for orientation purposes. Now this other stick over here is what's called your cyclic control. It basically controls the angle of the helicopter in any direction. Moving it left is going to bank it left, to the right is going to bank it to the right, back is going to tilt it back, and forward is going to pitch it down nose forward. So you can start to see a combination of throttle, rudder, and cyclic is really how you start to do coordinated flight with the helicopter. Next thing you're going to want to do is center all the trims on your transmitter. So it's just a little tab that slides back and forth, and each direction of each stick has its own little trim. Now when you take it out of the box, to start off you want to center all these trims. Turn the transmitter on, and if you have a 72 megahertz or other transmitter that uses antenna, go ahead and extend your antenna. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave my antenna down during my training just so the antenna doesn't get in the way of seeing the helicopter fly, and I'm going to be close enough that it's not going to matter. But when you're flying out of the field or doing your own practice, make sure to put that antenna up. With the transmitter turned on and the throttle and throttle trim all the way at the bottom, now you can plug in your helicopter. Now every helicopter, when you plug it in, is going to have a gyro that needs to stabilize. So as soon as you plug it in, hold the helicopter still for a couple of seconds. Now with your helicopter in the center of its training area, the first thing you want to do is apply enough power to just make it light on its skids. Now remember, you do not want to take off. You just want to apply enough power so that you can see it start to scoot around. So you can see on my transmitter, it was about half throttle. Very slowly raise and lower the throttle to that almost hovering point. Now you can see that my helicopter was scooting a little bit forward and turning a little bit to the left. So now I want to make adjustments with my trims here to try and make it so it doesn't do that when it's light on the skids. A quick note on setting up your trims. Don't worry about getting them perfect, because if you try and get them perfect, you're just going to end up wasting your time. Once you have the helicopter trimmed, now it's time to have some fun. The first thing we're going to practice is rudder control. Start by raising the throttle to the almost hovering point. Now you want to start to wag the rudder gently left and right. Keep your thumb on the right cyclic stick, but don't move it. If your helicopter has moved to the edge of the practice box, bring it back to the center. Getting good at the rudder is very important to flying helicopters because it's the control you use to change your orientation, and loss of orientation is probably one of the leading factors in new helicopter pilots crashing. Now we're going to start using the rudder to bring the helicopter back to regular orientation. Now regular orientation is with the tail pointed towards you, or the nose pointed away from you. Right now it's 90 degrees off from that. So after getting used to the sensitivity of the rudder by wagging it with your helicopter, start with it 90 degrees off from regular, throttle up, and use the rudder to bring it back. Try this with the helicopter starting at several different angles, especially with some with the nose pointed towards you like it is right now, or what might be called backwards orientation. It may be helpful if you pretend you're sitting on the nose of the helicopter. Don't look at the transmitter, just think which way you want to go and push the rudder that way. Now we're going to pirouette or spin the helicopter with a full left or full right rudder. Then at random we're going to center the rudder. Wherever the helicopter stops, we're then going to gradually use our rudder to bring our helicopter back to regular orientation, just like you see it now. Go back and try all these small lessons from lots of different angles and different speeds. The better you are with the rudder, the better pilot you'll be. The next video lesson will be covering the cyclic control. This is where it really starts to get fun. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of it.